are a woman, 29, looking to bang.
No.
For a long-term relationship.
Yes.
Thank you so much for making time for me. I got to ask you right off the top, how are you doing throughout these tough times with the world dealing with coronavirus and so many other things, racism being in the forefront, people arguing back and forth about wearing masks, not wearing masks. It's a different world and a different Toronto International Film Festival, that's for sure.
No kidding. Yeah, I mean, it's a huge question. It's a total almost paradigm shift in the world. So, I'm just trying to roll with it. And, in this little moment that is TIFF, which is a huge moment, for me, it is at least, and it's a huge film festival. It's a bummer that we're going to be doing this sort of more online stuff, but of course, you got to roll with it, and it is what it is.
And you have to be honored, too, the fact that for folks who may not realize it, because of the way the world is, TIFF had to shorten the amount of films that they could present, but they made sure one of them was yours, so congratulations on that.
Yeah, thank you. I frankly did notice that, and it was pretty, it's wonderful, and such an honor, and I'm very proud and excited. Yeah, absolutely.
But we're going to ask you, before we talk about your film, your career in filmmaking, when did that start for you, and what was the passion behind making films?
So I started as an actor. I've been acting since, I started in high school and then sort of started professionally in my late teens or early 20s. And I had always been a writer, doing plays and that sort of a thing, and short stories. And so for me, I started really making films in my mid-late 20s. And the weird thing is that it actually came out of a really bad breakup at the time, and I sort of felt this profound sense of wasted time. And I had also been sort of waffling about my commitment to what I was doing. I had just applied to and gotten into law school and had accepted at Osgood and deferred for the year. And I'm so glad I did, because after this breakup, I was just sort of shaken awake to being so what do you actually care about? And for me, it was very clear that the thing I actually cared about was telling stories. And for me, that, my métier, the stuff I had been involved in since I was young, it ended up being filmmaking. And so that's the direction I started going in. It was a very personal reason. And, I think for me, it's about, it's hard to say. It's hard to put to words exactly the reason I feel like a drive to do this, a need to do it, but it does feel like a need, and it's to tell stories that feel unusual, personal, emotional, and a lot of time have humor in them too.
For folks who listen to this whole interview on Rudy Blair Entertainment Media, rudyblairmedia.com, I mean, when you have a passion for things, whatever your job is or whatever it is, it's a drive. But I found that when it comes to the arts, you can't even, as you just tried, you can't explain it. You can be completely broke and needing whatever kind of job, but your passion for working in the arts and making films or music or whatever else, that drive just sort of overcompensates anything else, and I understand exactly how you feel.
Yeah, totally. It's bizarre, actually. I've often wondered to myself, what am I a glutton for punishment? And I'm sure a lot of people in the arts think that, because it's true. You keep going in spite of it, and it's almost bizarre. Yeah,
it is.
Yeah.
It absolutely is. I also want to get your thoughts too on for the last couple of years, especially I would say the last 5 years, women directors, women filmmakers have really been in the forefront for the last couple of years with the Toronto International Film Festival. You're a part of all this. What is it like to see this, knowing that 10 or 20 years ago, women did have a tough time?
Yeah, I mean, which is also, in a way, a bizarre thing to think, right? That's so siloed. That filmmaking has been so traditionally and historically male dominated. And I mean, I think my first short film I made about 7-8 years ago, and even then, there's some pieces I made that I wonder sometimes. I'm like, were they being considered in the same way as other people's? And knowing now that there's such an attempt, to focus on and highlight and encourage, I would say, women to continue. I mean, it's, for me, it's like, it's a no-brainer. And I think we're going to begin to see the same thing with BIPOC creators and filmmakers. And the other part of it is that we all know is that even though there are initiatives like TIFF, Share Her Journey, and an attempt to highlight and put on the platform women filmmakers, it's still, like, the statistics, if you look at who's making films and what percentage is still terrible. So it's great that there's, you know, an attempt to highlight it. And at the same time, it's like, how do you make change happen and how long does it actually take? And I think the same thing for the BIPOC movement, filmmakers, for the same reason, you know?
I agree with you, absolutely. But hopefully everybody's going in the right direction and we can see some more changes the next time we get a chance to talk at the next Toronto International Film Festival.
Totally.
But this one, you have a short film. What's the film called and what's it about, please?
Yeah, so it's called Succor, and that you spell that Succor, not like Sucker, but it's a homonym because it's supposed to sound like that too. So it's about two best friends, and it's about one of them who's, you know, after a year after a hard breakup, she still isn't over her ex, and her friend says, it's time to get you online. She's never done it before. And so the two of them basically create a profile for her on the app and create the ideal guy who she wants to meet. And then lo and behold, she basically meets the same ideal guy with the same name. Should I give it all away? I don't know if I should.
No, let's stop right there. Let's stop right there
great.
because I think that says a lot. I don't want to give the whole thing because it is a short film. But at the same time, though, where did you come up with the idea, especially since I can almost guarantee you may have came up with the story, but there are people who are living that story.
Yeah, you're probably right. You know, I came up with the story because two reasons. First of all, I love examining stuff about women and women friendships and women dynamics and relationships. Surprise, surprise, in a female perspective, but also because I was catfished. I was actually catfished online, and I was shocked. I didn't see it coming. I had no idea. It wasn't the kind of catfish that where somebody was like, please send me $2,000. I'm stuck in Dubai, or whatever the case may be. I never got to the bottom of why this person did it. I never got to the bottom of who it was, and I think that mystery kind of drove me a bit nuts. And so then I wrote this story and turned it on its head by making it about friends.
So you turn this from a negative to a positive, and hopefully not just entertaining, but actually in the same way helping people at the same time too, who are probably going to be going through the same kind of situation. Is it harder to make a short film when you have a great story like this? Like, could you have done it as a feature film?
Good point. Well, this one came together super quickly, like from idea to getting Dara and Michaela on board and Coral Aiken, my producer. And so it came together so quickly that it couldn't have been a feature film. You know, it was like racing to the finish line, and we got it in and done in the can before the pandemic began. But for the feature, I'm actually already working on the script. So I'm hoping that this can oddly change and pivot into a feature film because I feel like it's got so much potential and so much in it. So, yeah, that's in short to answer your question.
Absolutely. Just curious, though, too, where was it filmed?
In Toronto. Yeah, it was filmed just West End Toronto over 2 days with quite a modest little budget. And, Parkdale, Dundas West, Christie Pitts, that kind of hood.
The old school areas. I love that.
Yeah.
You kind of mentioned, though, that you filmed it in 2 days. This is just around when lockdowns happening with coronavirus. Did you know this was coming? Was there like we're only going to have a few more days? Or was there like a moment where when you heard about it, you were just like, we got to stop? How did that all work?
Yeah, that's wild. So I didn't even actually at the time, because we filmed like the third weekend in February, and stuff didn't really shut down till March 15th or something. So for me, it was still this thing in the background, this news piece, this growing phenomenon, but it hadn't hit in any real way for us here in Canada or the United States. And so I didn't feel that urgency. It's just in hindsight, looking back, that I'm like, geez, we just got that in there, and then we did the entire post remotely.
Wow. Well, you know what? Somebody's looking over your shoulder, that angel. And we are glad that this actually was made, and we're getting to see this at TIFF. What do you hope people will get from this once they see this?
Well, I hope they're left with a feeling that's a bit like odd and, feeling uneasy and excited, thrilled maybe is the word. And also I think more curious. I think it leaves you with a bit of questions like why and what's this friendship? And so I hope it whets some appetites, but is very, very engaging and, entertaining even.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. 30 years ago, we would never be telling stories like this. And now this is the way of life. Who knows what we're going to be talking about 5 or 10 years ago, 10 years from now. Mm-hmm. So, man, so many great stories. And thank you for telling your story. Do we know yet when we're going to have a chance to be able to see this?
Yes, it's actually the public screening is all online, and so it is on September 15th at 6 p.m.
Amazing. Looking forward to that. Before we go, any future projects as we slowly start to open up the world?
Yeah, actually, it's funny you ask. Last night, late at night, wrapped a feature. So I'm lying in a hotel bed, having just woken up. You can probably hear it in my voice from an 18-day shoot mid-pandemic in Northern Ontario. It's a story that maybe you and I will talk about next time because it was a ride during this pandemic time.
I'm looking forward to that. And see, this is why I don't do Zoom.
Yes, thank you.
It's easier for folks just to do it on the phone so that they can be in their jammies or whatever they want. So
yes, totally.
Thank you so much. Knowing that you had such an amazing but tough couple of days to still make time to speak with me, thank you so much for doing that. Thank you so much for opening up doors for other women, not just in acting, but for directing and making films too. And again, like I said, congratulations on being able to be part of the Toronto International Film Festival and looking so forward to talking to you again. And before we go, I got to get social media. Where do we go to follow you?
Awesome. So it's at Hannah Cheesman on Twitter, and it's at Hannah Shazam on Instagram. And you can also check me out at hannahcheesman.com.
Amazing. Thank you again. Get some rest. And hopefully next time we talk, it'll be in person.
Deal. I like it. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
It's weird. I've never liked someone that I've never met before. Happy for you.